First contact, the arrival. The night sky of a New York City erupted in a dazzling display of light, drawing gasps from the millions of upturned faces. What at first appeared to be a spectacular meteor shower quickly coalesced into something far more extraordinary and terrifying. A massive crystalline structure materialized in low Earth orbit, its faceted surface refracting sunlight in a kaleidoscope of colors. Dr. Elara Chen stood transfixed on the roof of the United Nations building, her heart pounding. As one of the world's foremost xenolinguists, she had spent her entire career preparing for this moment. Yet now that it had arrived, she felt woefully unprepared. Dr. Chen. A breathless aide burst through the roof access door. The Security Council is convening an emergency session. They're requesting your presence immediately. Elara tore her gaze from the alien ship and nodded, following the aide down to the council chambers. The normally composed diplomats were in various states of panic and awe. Secretary General Amina Okafor stood at the head of the table, her usually calm demeanor strained. "Ladies and gentlemen, please," Amina called for order. "We must approach this situation with clear heads. Dr. Chen, what can you tell us about our visitors?" Elara stepped forward, acutely aware of all eyes on her. "Madam Secretary General, distinguished representatives, at this point we know very little. The ship's design is unlike anything in our records or scientific theories. Its sudden appearance suggests a level of technology far beyond our own." "Are they hostile?" the U.S. representative demanded. "We have no way of knowing their intentions yet," Elara replied carefully. "But I would caution against assuming hostility. A civilization capable of appearing undetected in our orbit could likely have attacked without warning if that was their goal." The chamber erupted in overlapping voices until Amina raised her hand for silence. "Dr. Chen is correct. We must not let fear dictate our actions. Our priority now is to establish communication." As if on cue, every screen in the room flickered to life. Similar reports flooded in from around the globe. Televisions, computers, even cell phones were broadcasting the same image. A swirling, iridescent pattern that seemed to pulse with an inner light. Elara's mind raced. This could be their attempt at communication, she said, studying the hypnotic display. The patterns, they're not random. There's a structure here, possibly a mathematical basis. For hours, Elara and a hastily assembled team of linguists and mathematicians worked to decipher the alien message. Meanwhile, the world held its breath. Military forces around the globe were on high alert, their weapons trained on the silent, hovering ship. As dawn broke over New York, Elara's team made a breakthrough. "It's an invitation," she announced to the reconvened Security Council. "They're requesting a meeting, here, at the UN." The revelation sent shockwaves through the assembly. Debate raged over security concerns and protocols, but in the end, curiosity and the hope for peaceful contact won out. Under the watchful eyes of the world, a shimmering beam of light appeared on the UN plaza. From it emerged three figures that defied easy description. They stood on two legs, but were taller and more slender than humans, with iridescent skin that seemed to shift colors like the surface of a soap bubble. Their faces were oddly featureless, save for large, multifaceted eyes that reflected the world around them like living kaleidoscopes. Elara, along with Secretary General Okafor and a small delegation, approached the aliens. Her heart raced as she raised her hand in what she hoped was a universal gesture of greeting. To everyone's shock, one of the aliens spoke, in perfect English. "Greetings, people of Earth. We are the Zarkonian, and we come seeking sanctuary." The revelation that the aliens could speak Earth languages sent ripples of astonishment through the crowd. Elara's scientific curiosity overrode her initial shock. "How is it you can speak our language?" The alien's multifaceted eyes seemed to twinkle. "We have been observing your world for some time, studying your broadcasts and digital communications. Our language acquisition abilities are advanced." Secretary General Okafor stepped forward. "You said you seek sanctuary. From what?" The three Zarkonians exchanged looks, their skin rippling with colors that Elara suspected conveyed emotion. From a threat that endangers not just our civilization, but all life in the galaxy. We call them the Void Swarm. Over the next few hours, the Zarkonians shared their story. They were refugees, the last survivors of a once mighty civilization that had spanned hundreds of worlds. The Void Swarm, a hive-mind species of insectoid creatures, had systematically destroyed or consumed every planet in their path. "We have traveled for many of your years," the lead Zarkonian, who called itself Zin, explained. "Searching for a world with the potential to stand against a swarm, we believe we have found that in Earth." Elara's mind reeled at the implications. Why us? Surely there are other, more advanced civilizations that could help. Zin's skin rippled with a pattern that Elara was beginning to associate with sadness. "Many have tried. All have failed. But humans, you possess a quality we have rarely seen. Adaptability, ingenuity, a fierce determination that borders on the irrational. These traits, combined with our technology, may be the galaxy's last hope." As the day wore on, more details emerged. The Zarkonians offered to share their advanced technology, faster-than-light travel, energy shields, weapons capable of destroying entire fleets. In exchange, they asked for a new home and Earth's help in the coming battle against the Void Swarm. The debate that followed was intense. Some argued that this was humanity's chance to take its place among the stars, to become part of a larger galactic community. Others warned of the dangers of trusting these aliens, of drawing the attention of an even greater threat. Through it all, Elara found herself acting as a bridge between the two species. Her expertise in xenolinguistics proved invaluable in navigating the cultural and linguistic nuances of their discussions. As night fell once more, a tentative agreement was reached. Earth would provide sanctuary to the Zarkonian refugees and work with them to prepare for the coming threat. In return, the aliens would share their technology and knowledge. Elara stood once more on the roof of the UN building, gazing up at the Zarkonian ship that now symbolized both hope and fear for humanity's future. Captain Jack Harper, the military liaison assigned to the Zarkonian Cooperation Project, joined her. "Quite a day, Doc," he said, his gruff voice tinged with awe. "First contact, galactic refugees, and an impending alien invasion. If I hadn't seen it with my own eyes." Elara nodded, understanding his disbelief. "Everything's changed, Captain. In just one day, our entire understanding of the universe, of our place in it, has been completely upended." Jack's face hardened with determination. "Well, one thing hasn't changed. Whoever or whatever these Void Swarm are, they're going to learn the hard way what happens when you threaten humanity." As if in response to his words, the Zarkonian ship pulsed with light, a reminder of the monumental task that lay ahead. Elara felt a mix of fear and exhilaration. The coming days would test humanity like never before, but she couldn't help but feel a sense of hope. For the first time in history, the nations of Earth were united in a common cause. The petty conflicts and divisions that had defined human history seemed insignificant in the face of this cosmic threat. And yet, it was those very human qualities, the ability to adapt, to innovate, to persevere against impossible odds, that might just save not only Earth but the entire galaxy. As the first streaks of dawn painted the sky, Elara made a silent vow. She would do everything in her power to bridge the gap between humans and Zarkonians, to forge an alliance strong enough to face the coming storm. The fate of two civilizations, and countless others, depended on it. The day of first contact was ending, but humanity's greatest challenge was just beginning. The Void Swarm was coming, and Earth would need every ounce of its ingenuity, every spark of its indomitable spirit, to survive the trials ahead. But as Elara looked out over the awakening city, she felt a surge of determination. If any species could defy the odds, could snatch victory from the jaws of defeat, it was humanity. The dawn of a new era had arrived, and with it, the greatest adventure in human history was about to unfold. The galactic threat unveiled, The weeks following first contact passed in a blur of activity. As news of the Zarkonian arrival spread, the world teetered on the brink of chaos. Governments struggled to maintain order, while religious leaders grappled with the theological implications of alien life. Yet, amid the turmoil, a sense of purpose began to emerge. Humanity was facing its greatest challenge, and it would do so united. Dr. Elara Chen found herself at the heart of this whirlwind. Her days were filled with intense sessions, bridging the communication gap between humans and Zarkonians. Despite their ability to speak Earth languages, cultural misunderstandings were frequent and sometimes alarming. "No, Xin," Elara explained patiently, "when humans say they're dying to know something, it's just an expression. They're not actually expiring." The Zarkonian's skin rippled with a pattern Elara had come to recognize as embarrassment. "The intricacies of your idioms continue to confound us, Dr. Chen. We appreciate your guidance." Their conversation was interrupted by the arrival of Captain Jack Harper, his face grim. "Doc, we've got a situation. The Zarkonians want to brief us on the Void Swarm. Top brass is assembling now." Elara nodded, her heart racing. This was the moment they'd been waiting for and dreading. The briefing took place in a secure underground facility. Military leaders from around the world joined via secure video links. Xin stood at the center, its iridescent skin pulsing with somber hues. "What we are about to share with you is difficult to comprehend, even for us," Xin began. "The Void Swarm is unlike any adversary you have faced." A holographic display flickered to life, showing a vast, roiling cloud of darkness, punctuated by flashes of sickly green light. As they watched, the cloud engulfed an entire planet, leaving nothing but a lifeless husk in its wake. "The swarm is a collective consciousness," Xin explained. "Trillions of insectoid creatures linked in a hive mind. They consume all organic matter, using it to fuel their endless expansion." The room was silent, the weight of this revelation setting heavily on all present. General Laura Steele, head of Earth's newly formed Unified Defense Command, spoke up. "What are their weaknesses? There must be something." Xin's skin darkened. "We have found no conventional weakness. Their numbers are vast, their hunger insatiable. Entire civilizations far more advanced than yours have fallen before them." "Then why come to us?" Jack demanded, his voice tight with frustration. "If we're so outmatched, what hope do we have?" Xin turned its multifaceted eyes towards the captain. "Because, Captain Harper, your species possesses something we have rarely encountered: unpredictability. The Void Swarm's greatest strength is its unity of purpose, but it is also its weakness. It cannot comprehend the chaos, the beautiful irrationality of human thought and action." Elara leaned forward, her mind racing. "You're saying our best weapon against the swarm is our humanity itself?" "Precisely, Dr. Chen," Xin confirmed. "Your literature is filled with tales of victory against impossible odds. Your history is a testament to resilience in the face of devastation. This is what drew us to your world." The briefing continued long into the night. The Zarkonians shared everything they knew about the Void Swarm, its tactics, its technology, its inexorable advance across the galaxy. With each new piece of information, the enormity of the task before them became clearer. As the meeting concluded, General Steele addressed the room. "Ladies and gentlemen, I won't sugarcoat this. We're facing an enemy unlike anything in human history. But we will not go quietly into the night. Project Starforge begins now." Project Starforge was humanity's answer to the Void Swarm threat, a massive undertaking to upgrade Earth's defenses and create a fleet capable of interstellar warfare. Zarkonian technology would be merged with human ingenuity, creating hybrid systems that they hoped would give them an edge. Over the following months, the face of the Earth changed. Massive construction projects sprang up around the globe. Orbital shipyards took shape, visible from the ground as new stars in the night sky. The Zarkonian ship, once a source of fear, became a beacon of hope as it assisted in the monumental task. Ilara found herself working closely with both Zin and Jack, forming an unlikely but effective trio. Zin provided the advanced scientific knowledge, Jack the strategic military insight, and Ilara the crucial ability to bridge the gap between the two species. One evening, as they pored over plans for a new type of energy shield, Jack leaned back in his chair, rubbing his tired eyes. 6 months ago, my biggest worry was geopolitical tensions. Now we're preparing to fight a galactic horde of space insects. Life's funny that way. Ilara smiled, appreciating Jack's attempt at levity. It's surreal, isn't it? Sometimes I wake up thinking it's all been a dream. Zin's skin shimmed with a pattern that Ilara had begun to associate with curiosity. This concept of surreal, it is similar to our notion of reality displacement. Your species' ability to adapt to such radical changes is admirable. Their conversation was interrupted by an urgent message. New long-range sensors, enhanced with Zirconian technology, had detected something at the edge of the solar system. They rushed to the command center, where a grim-faced General Steele awaited them. "We've got movement in the Kuiper Belt," she announced, pointing to a holographic display of the solar system. A faint, shadowy mass was visible at the outer edges, slowly but steadily moving inward. Zin's skin paled to an almost translucent state, a sign of deep distress. "It cannot be. They are here far sooner than we anticipated." The room erupted in a flurry of activity. Orders were issued, alerts raised. Humanity's fledgling defenses, not yet fully operational, would soon face their ultimate test. In the midst of the chaos, Ilara felt a moment of clarity. This was it, the moment that would define not just the fate of humanity, but of all sentient life in the galaxy. The weight of that responsibility was staggering, yet she felt strangely calm. She turned to Jack and Zin, seeing in their eyes the same mix of fear and determination she felt. "Well," she said, her voice steady, "I guess it's time to see if humanity lives up to its reputation." Jack nodded grimly. "Those space bugs won't know what hit them." Zin's skin rippled with a complex pattern that somehow conveyed both anxiety and hope. "May your confidence be justified, my friends, for all our sakes." As the first tendrils of the void swarm probed the outer reaches of the solar system, Earth prepared for battle. The next few weeks were a whirlwind of final preparations. Ships were launched, weapons primed, and strategies finalized. Ilara found herself working around the clock, fine-tuning communication systems between human and Zirconian forces. The fate of 2 civilizations, and countless others, might well hinge on their ability to work together seamlessly. One evening, as she took a rare moment of rest, gazing out at the star-filled sky from the roof of the command center, Jack joined her. "Penny for your thoughts, Doc?" he asked, handing her a steaming cup of coffee. Ilara accepted the cup gratefully. "I was just thinking about how small we used to feel, looking up at the stars. And now we're about to fight for those stars," Jack finished. "It's a hell of a thing." They stood in companionable silence for a moment, each lost in their own thoughts. Jack said finally, "I've been in the military my whole adult life, seen my share of battles, but this is something else entirely." Ilara nodded. "I keep thinking about all the people down there." She gestured towards the city lights below. "Most of them are just going about their lives, no idea of the scale of what's coming." "Maybe that's for the best," Jack mused. "They're what we're fighting for after all. The right for humanity to keep being, well, human." Their moment of reflection was interrupted by Zin, who approached with an urgency in its movements. "My friends, we have detected unusual activity within the swarm. They appear to be evolving." The implications of this news were staggering. An already formidable enemy was adapting, perhaps in response to the unique challenge posed by humanity and its unlikely allies. As they hurried back to the command center, Ilara felt a fresh wave of determination wash over her. Yes, the odds were overwhelming. Yes, the enemy was beyond anything humanity had ever faced. But if there was one thing humans excelled at, it was defying the odds. The Void Swarm was coming, evolving, adapting, but so was humanity. In labs and factories around the world, in the orbital shipyards and underground bunkers, humans were doing what they did best: innovating, improvising, refusing to give up even when logic said they should. As the first ships of Earth's newly forged fleet prepared to meet the encroaching darkness, Alara, Jack, and Zin stood united, symbols of the unprecedented alliance that was humanity's best hope. The greatest battle in Earth's history was about to begin, and against all odds, Alara felt a glimmer of hope. Because if any species in the galaxy could pull off the impossible, it was humanity. The stars awaited, and humanity was ready to fight for its place among them. Humanity's ingenuity unleashed. The tension in Earth's unified command center was palpable as the holographic display showed the Void Swarm's steady advance through the solar system. Pluto, once demoted from planetary status, now served as humanity's first line of defense. A network of sensors and automated defense platforms surrounded the dwarf planet, ready to gather crucial data on the approaching enemy. Dr. Elara Chen stood beside Captain Jack Harper and Zin, their unlikely trio having become the linchpin in Earth's preparations. As the first wave of the Void Swarm made contact with the outer defense grid, a collective hush fell over the room. Contact in 3, 2, 1. The technician's voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly as he counted down. The room erupted in a cacophony of alarms as the sensors around Pluto went dark one by one. The Void Swarm moved with a terrifying efficiency, consuming the defense platforms and incorporating their technology into its ever-growing mass. General Steele's voice cut through the chaos. Status report now. Alara leaned over the console, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. The good news is, we're receiving a massive amount of data. The bad news, the swarm adapted to our defenses far quicker than we anticipated. Certainly. I'll now write the third part of the story, Humanity's Ingenuity Unleashed, continuing from where we left off. This part will also be approximately 2,000 words long. Part 3, Humanity's Ingenuity Unleashed. The tension in Earth's unified command center was palpable as the holographic display showed the Void Swarm's steady advance through the solar system. Pluto, once demoted from planetary status, now served as humanity's first line of defense. A network of sensors and automated defense platforms surrounded the dwarf planet, ready to gather crucial data on the approaching enemy. Dr. Elara Chen stood beside Captain Jack Harper and Zin, their unlikely trio having become the linchpin in Earth's preparations. As the first wave of the Void Swarm made contact with the outer defense grid, a collective hush fell over the room. Contact in 3, 2, 1. The technician's voice was steady, but his hands trembled slightly as he counted down. The room erupted in a cacophony of alarms as the sensors around Pluto went dark one by one. The Void Swarm moved with a terrifying efficiency, consuming the defense platforms and incorporating their technology into its ever-growing mass. General Steele's voice cut through the chaos. Status report now. Alara leaned over the console, her fingers flying across the holographic interface. The good news is, we're receiving a massive amount of data. The bad news, the swarm adapted to our defenses far quicker than we anticipated. Zin's skin pulsed with a pattern of deep concern. This is unprecedented. The Void Swarm's rate of adaptation has increased exponentially since our last encounter. Jack's jaw clenched. So they're learning. Well, two can play at that game. Dr. Chen, what can you tell us about their attack pattern? Ilara's mind raced as she analyzed the incoming data. There's a pattern here, but it's unlike anything I've seen before. It's almost as if, wait, her eyes widened with sudden realization. Captain, remember our discussion about human unpredictability? The swarm is trying to mimic it. This revelation sent shockwaves through the command center. The Void Swarm, in its attempt to counter humanity's greatest strength, was inadvertently providing them with an opportunity. If they're trying to think like us, Jack mused, a glint of excitement in his eyes. Then maybe we need to stop thinking like us. Over the next few days, as the Void Swarm continued its relentless advance through the Kuiper Belt, Earth's greatest minds worked tirelessly to develop new strategies. The traditional military doctrine was thrown out the window in favor of approaches so unconventional they bordered on the absurd. Ilara found herself at the heart of this intellectual storm, her unique perspective as a xenolinguist proving invaluable in deciphering the swarm's evolving patterns. She worked closely with a team of human and Zarcomian scientists, pushing the boundaries of what was thought possible. One breakthrough came from an unlikely source, a young programmer named Aisha Patel, who suggested using Earth's vast network of social media algorithms to predict and counter the swarm's movements. Think about it, Aisha explained excitedly, her eyes bright with lack of sleep and excess caffeine. These algorithms are designed to predict human behavior, which is exactly what the swarm is trying to do. If we repurpose them, we might be able to stay one step ahead. The idea was so outlandish that it just might work. Ilara and her team threw themselves into the task of integrating social media predictive models with their battle strategies. Meanwhile, Jack oversaw the creation of Earth's hybrid fleet. The orbital shipyards worked around the clock, producing vessels that merged the best of human and Zarcomian technology. The flagship of the fleet, christened the ESS Defiant, was a marvel of engineering that pushed the boundaries of what was thought possible. As Jack stood in the Defiant's control room for the first time, he couldn't help but feel a surge of pride. "She's beautiful," he murmured, running his hand along the sleek control panel. Zin, who had been instrumental in the ship's design, made a sound that Jack had come to recognize as the Zarconian equivalent of a chuckle. "Beauty is not a concept we typically apply to machinery, Captain Harper. But in this case, I find myself in agreement." The Defiant incorporated Zarconian energy shielding and propulsion systems with human-designed weapons systems and AI. But its true innovation lay in its adaptability. Like the Void Swarm, the ship was designed to learn and evolve during battle. As the days turned to weeks, the Void Swarm drew ever closer to the inner solar system. Humanity's fledgling space fleet mobilized, taking up defensive positions around Neptune. It would be here, in the blue giant's swirling storms, that they would make their stand. The night before the battle, Ilara found herself unable to sleep. She wandered the corridors of the lunar base, eventually making her way to the observation deck. The Earth hung in the black void of space, a fragile blue marble that suddenly seemed so small and vulnerable. She was surprised to find Jack already there, staring out at their home planet. "Couldn't sleep either, huh?" he asked, not turning from the window. Ilara moved to stand beside him. "How can anyone sleep? Tomorrow we face an enemy that's destroyed entire civilizations. The fate of our world, of every world, hangs in the balance." Jack was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was uncharacteristically soft. "You know, when I joined the military, I thought I understood what it meant to fight for something bigger than myself. But this is beyond anything I could have imagined." Ilara nodded, understanding the weight of his words. "It's funny," she mused. "I spent my entire career studying the possibility of alien life, preparing for first contact. I never imagined it would lead to this." They stood in companionable silence, each lost in their own thoughts. The moment was interrupted by the arrival of Zin, its skin glowing softly in the dimly lit room. "Ah, I see I am not the only one finding rest elusive," the Zarconian observed. "Just pre-battle jitters," Jack said with a wry smile. "It's a human thing." Zin's skin rippled in what Ilara had come to recognize as amusement. "Perhaps not solely a human thing, Captain Harper. We too feel apprehension." As the three of them stood there, gazing at the Earth, Ilara was struck by the unlikelihood of their alliance. A human soldier, a xenolinguist, and an alien refugee, united in their determination to save not just Earth, but the galaxy itself. "Whatever happens tomorrow," Ilara said softly, "I'm glad we're facing it together." Jack nodded sullenly. Together, he echoed. Zin's skin pulsed with a warm glow. Together, it agreed. As dawn broke over the lunar base, alarms blared. The Void Swarm had arrived at Neptune, earlier than expected. The battle for Earth, for the very future of life in the galaxy, was about to begin. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Ilara found herself in the heart of the command center, coordinating communications between the human and Zarkonian forces. Jack was aboard the Defiant, leading the charge against the swarm. The battle that unfolded was unlike anything in human history. The void around Neptune lit up with weapons fire as Earth's fleet engaged the swarm. The Defiant led the charge, its adaptive systems allowing it to anticipate and counter the swarm's attacks with uncanny accuracy. But the Void Swarm was relentless. For every small victory the Earth forces won, the swarm seemed to grow stronger, adapting to their tactics with frightening speed. As the battle raged, Ilara made a startling discovery. The swarm's communication patterns, she exclaimed, her eyes wide as she studied the data. They're not just mimicking human unpredictability, they're incorporating it into their hive mind. This realization led to a breakthrough. If the swarm was integrating human thought patterns, then perhaps they could use that to their advantage. Ilara and her team quickly devised a plan to introduce chaotic elements into the swarm's hive mind, using the very social media algorithms they had reproposed. As the plan was put into action, the tide of the battle began to turn. The Void Swarm's movements became erratic, its attacks less coordinated. Earth's forces pressed their advantage, driving the swarm back. But victory came at a cost. Many ships were lost, their crews making the ultimate sacrifice to buy time for humanity. The Defiant itself took heavy damage, with Jack barely managing to keep the ship together. As the last of the swarm retreated from Neptune's orbit, a cheer went up in the command center. They had won the first battle, but the war was far from over. In the aftermath, as the fleet limped back to Earth for repairs and regrouping, Ilara, Jack, and Zin met once again on the lunar observation deck. "We did it," Jack said, his voice a mix of exhaustion and exhilaration. "We actually did it." Ilara nodded, but her expression was somber. "We won the battle, but the swarm will be back. And next time, they'll be even stronger." Zin's skin rippled with a complex pattern of emotions. "True, but so will we. Today, we have proven that united, we can stand against the Void Swarm. There is hope yet for the galaxy." As they stood there, looking out at the Earth, Ilara felt a renewed sense of determination. The road ahead would be long and fraught with danger, but humanity had proven itself equal to the challenge. The Void Swarm would return, of that there was no doubt. But when it did, it would find a humanity ready to fight, to innovate, to defy the odds. And with allies like the Zarkonians at their side, Ilara believed that they just might have a chance to save not just Earth, but the entire galaxy. The battle for Neptune was over, but the war for the future of life itself was just beginning. And humanity, with all its beautiful, chaotic ingenuity, was ready to meet that challenge head-on. The battle for Earth. The months following the Battle of Neptune were a whirlwind of activity. Earth's victory, while significant, had come at a great cost. The fleet was battered, with many ships lost or severely damaged. But amid the grief and exhaustion, a spark of hope had ignited. Humanity had faced the Void Swarm and survived. Dr. Ilara Chen found herself busier than ever, working tirelessly to refine the communication techniques that had proved so crucial in the battle. Her breakthrough in using social media algorithms to disrupt the swarm's hive mind had opened up new avenues of research. "We need to push this further," she explained to a joint team of human and Zarkonian scientists. "If we can find a way to not just disrupt their communication, but to feed false information into their hive mind." The implications were staggering. It could give them a critical edge in the battles to come. Meanwhile, Captain Jack Harper oversaw the reconstruction and expansion of Earth's fleet. The orbital shipyards worked around the clock, incorporating lessons learned from the Neptune engagement into each new vessel. "We can't just match them technologically," Jack insisted during a strategy meeting. "We need to outthink them, to be more adaptable, more unpredictable." Zin, who had become an integral part of Earth's defense planning, added its own insight. "The Void Swarm's greatest strength is its unity. But as we saw at Neptune, that unity can be turned against it. We must exploit that weakness." As Earth prepared for the next inevitable confrontation, long-range sensors detected ominous movement in the outer solar system. The Void Swarm, having regrouped and evolved, was on the move again. This time, its target was clear: Earth itself. The news sent shockwaves through the global population. Despite efforts to maintain calm, panic began to set in. The unified Earth government implemented emergency measures, accelerating the construction of underground shelters and the stockpiling of resources. In the midst of this frenzy of preparation, Ilara made a startling discovery. Analyzing data from the Battle of Neptune, she noticed an anomaly in the swarm's behavior patterns. "Look at this," she said, pointing to a holographic display. Jack and Zin leaned in, their faces illuminated by the swirling data. "There's a pattern here, a rhythm to their adaptations. It's almost like a heartbeat," Jack finished, his eyes widening with realization. Zin's skin pulsed with excitement. If this is correct, it could indicate a central controlling entity within the swarm. A queen, to use your Earth terminology. The implications were enormous. If they could locate and neutralize its central entity, they might be able to throw the entire swarm into disarray. As the Void Swarm approached Mars, Earth's expanded fleet mobilized. The ESS Defiant, now rebuilt and enhanced, led the charge. Jack stood on the bridge, his face set with determination. "All ships, this is Captain Harper," he broadcast to the fleet. "We've faced these buggers before, and we've beaten them. They think they know us now, but they can predict us. Let's show them how wrong they are." The battle that ensued around the Red Planet was unlike anything in human history. The void lit up with weapons fire, the Martian sky turned into a canvas of destruction and heroism. Earth's fleet fought with everything they had, employing tactics that ranged from brilliantly unorthodox to seemingly suicidal. Ships performed maneuvers that defied conventional physics, using Mars gravity to slingshot themselves into impossible positions. But the Void Swarm was relentless. For every ship they lost, 2 more seemed to take its place. Slowly but surely, they pushed towards Earth. In the Lunar Command Center, Ilara worked feverishly, coordinating with the fleet and analyzing the swarm's movements in real time. "There," she suddenly exclaimed, pointing to a sector of the battle. "That formation is protecting something." Zin leaned in, its multifaceted eyes scanning the display. "The Queen," it said softly. "It must be." General Steele didn't hesitate. "Captain Harper, do you copy? We have a priority target for you." Jack's voice crackled over the comm, strained but determined. "Copy that, General. We're on it." The Defiant broke away from the main battle, leading a small strike force towards the heart of the swarm. As they approached, the resistance intensified. It was all Jack and his crew could do to keep the ship in one piece. "We're not going to be able to punch through," Jack growled, watching as another ship in their group succumbed to the swarm's attacks. That's when Zin's voice came over the comm. "Captain Harper, we have a solution, but it is extremely risky." What followed was a plan so audacious, so utterly insane, that it could only have been born from the combined minds of humans and Zarkonians. It involved using the Defiant itself as bait, drawing the swarm's attention while a smaller, stealthier ship slipped through their defenses. "And who's going to pilot this suicide mission?" Jack asked, already knowing the answer. "I will," came Ilara's steady reply. "The ship will need to adapt its approach in real time. My expertise in the swarm's communication patterns gives us the best chance of success." Jack wanted to argue, to insist that it was too dangerous, but he knew she was right. "All right, Doc," he said, his voice thick with emotion. "Just come back in one piece, okay?" As the plan was set in motion, the battle around Mars reached a fever pitch. The Defiant engaged in a deadly dance with the heart of the swarm, drawing more and more of their forces away from Earth. Meanwhile, Ilara piloted her small craft into the maelstrom. The ship, a hybrid of human and Zarkonian technology, was designed to mimic the swarm's own biosignatures. It was their best hope of getting close to the Queen. As she navigated through the chaos, Ilara's mind raced. Everything they had learned about the swarm, every insight and breakthrough, had led to this moment. The fate of Earth, of all sentient life in the galaxy, rested on her shoulders. Suddenly, her senses lit up. There, in the heart of the swarm, was a massive entity unlike anything they had seen before, the Queen. "I found it," Ilara breathed, her voice barely above a whisper. "You know what to do, Doc." Jack's voice came over the comm, strained but supportive. Ilara took a deep breath and activated the device they had created, a hybrid of Earth's social media algorithms and Zarkonian psychic technology. It was designed to overload the Queen's connection to the hive mind, hopefully disrupting the entire swarm in the process. As the device powered up, the swarm around her ship went berserk. They had detected the threat, but it was too late. Ilara engaged the ship's thrusters, driving straight towards the Queen. The moment of impact was lost in a blinding flash of light. For a terrifying moment, all communication with Ilara's ship was lost. Then something extraordinary happened. The void swarm, which had been moving with terrifying coordination, suddenly fell into disarray. Ships collided with each other, attacks became uncoordinated and ineffective. "It worked," Zin's awed voice came over the general comm. "The hive mind is disrupted." A cheer went up across the fleet, but Jack's eyes were fixed on his sensors, searching desperately for any sign of Ilara's ship. As the Earth forces pressed their advantage, routing the now disorganized swarm, a small blip appeared on the Defiant's sensors. Ilara's ship, battered but intact, emerged from the chaos. "Sorry for the delay," her tired but triumphant voice came over the comm. "Had a bit of a close call there." The battle for Mars had been won, but the war was far from over. As the remnants of the void swarm retreated to the outer solar system, Earth began the process of recovery and preparation. They had struck a significant blow, but the swarm, even without its queen, was far from defeated. In the aftermath of the battle, as the fleet limped back to Earth for repairs, Ilara, Jack, and Zin once again found themselves on the observation deck of the lunar base. "We did it," Ilara said softly, her eyes fixed on the blue marble of Earth. "We actually did it." Jack nodded, a mix of pride and wariness on his face. "We bought ourselves some time, but they'll be back." Zin's skin rippled with a complex pattern of emotions. "Indeed, but when they return, they will face a united galaxy. Your victory here will inspire hope across the stars." As they stood there, looking out at the planet they had fought so hard to protect, each of them felt the weight of what was to come. The void swarm would return, possibly stronger than ever, but Earth would be ready. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged victorious. They had proven that their unpredictability, their adaptability, their sheer stubborn refusal to give up, could overcome even the most overwhelming odds. The battle for Earth was over, but the war for the galaxy had only just begun, and as Ilara, Jack, and Zin stood united, symbols of the unprecedented alliance that had saved their world, they knew that whatever challenges lay ahead, they would face them together. The stars awaited, and humanity was ready to take its place among them. A new dawn for humanity. The months following the Battle of Mars were a time of both celebration and sullen reflection for Earth. The victory against the void swarm had come at a great cost, with countless lives lost and much of the planet's infrastructure damaged in the conflict. Yet amid the rebuilding, a new sense of purpose and unity had emerged. Humanity had faced its greatest threat and survived, forever changed by the experience. Dr. Ilara Chen found herself at the center of this new world order. Her breakthrough in disrupting the swarm's hive mind had made her a reluctant global celebrity. More importantly, it had opened up new avenues of research that promised to revolutionize not just Earth's defenses, but communication and information technology as a whole. One morning, as she pored over data in her lab, she was interrupted by a familiar voice. "Still burning the midnight oil, Doc?" Captain Jack Harper asked, leaning against the doorframe with a wry smile. Ilara looked up, surprised to see him out of uniform. "Jack, I thought you were overseeing the fleet reconstruction." He shrugged, stepping into the lab. "Even heroes get shore leave sometimes. Thought I'd check in on Earth's other big hero." Ilara felt her cheeks warm at the compliment. "Hardly a hero. I just did what needed to be done, like everyone else." "Aha," Jack said, unconvinced. "And that's why they're talking about naming the next generation of ships after you." Before Ilara could protest further, Zin glided into the room, its skin pulsing with excitement. "My friends, I bring news from the Galactic community." The Galactic community was something Earth was still getting used to. In the wake of their victory against the Void Swarm, other alien civilizations had begun to make contact, drawn by tales of Earth's improbable triumph. "Don't keep us in suspense," Zin, Jack said, his curiosity piqued. Zin's skin rippled with what Ilara had come to recognize as its version of a smile. "The Galactic Council has convened. They wish for Earth to take a seat among them." The news was monumental. Earth, a planet that had been unaware of extraterrestrial life just a few years ago, was now being invited to join the ranks of the galaxy's most advanced civilizations. "There's more," Zin continued. "They are proposing the formation of a new defensive alliance, with Earth at its center. Your victory against the Void Swarm has inspired hope across the galaxy." The implications were staggering. Earth, once isolated in the cosmic ocean, was now poised to become a linchpin in galactic politics and defense. As the news spread, the planet buzzed with excitement and apprehension. The unified Earth government convened emergency sessions to discuss this new development. Ilara, Jack, and Zin found themselves at the heart of these discussions, their unique perspectives and experiences proving invaluable. "We can't rush into this," Ilara cautioned during one particularly heated debate. "We're still learning about our place in the galaxy. We need to proceed carefully." Jack nodded in agreement. "But we can't afford to isolate ourselves either. The Void Swarm is still out there, and there may be other threats we don't even know about yet." Zin added its own insight. "The galaxy is watching, my friends. How Earth responds to this invitation will shape interstellar relations for generations to come." As the debates raged on, Ilara found herself working on a new project. The insights gained from disrupting the swarm's hive mind had led her to a breakthrough in interspecies communication. She was developing a system that could potentially bridge the gap between any two sentient species, no matter how alien their modes of thought. "It's not just about translating words," she explained to Jack and Zin one evening, her eyes alight with excitement. "It's about translating concepts, ways of thinking. Imagine being able to truly understand how a completely alien mind perceives the universe." Jack whistled, impressed. That could change everything, not just for defense, but for diplomacy, scientific cooperation. Indeed, Zin agreed, its skin pulsing with a pattern that Ilara had come to associate with deep thought. Such a tool could be the key to lasting peace in the galaxy. As Earth grappled with its new role in the galactic community, the remnants of the Void Swarm were not idle. Reports came in from the outer reaches of the solar system of swarm activity. They were evolving, adapting, preparing for their next assault. But this time, Earth was not alone. Ships from allied alien civilizations began to arrive, ready to stand with humanity against the coming storm. The solar system became a bustling hub of activity, with vessels of designs never before seen by human eyes taking up defensive positions. Amid this galactic gathering, the ESS Defiant prepared for its most ambitious mission yet. Newly rebuilt and enhanced with technology from a dozen different species, it would lead an expedition beyond the solar system, their goal to take the fight to the Void Swarm's home territory. As Jack prepared to embark on this mission, he found Ilara in her lab, working late as usual. "So, I hear you're coming with us," he said, unable to keep a note of concern from his voice. Ilara nodded, not looking up from her work. "Someone needs to field test the new communication system. Besides, my expertise on the swarm might come in handy." Jack wanted to argue, to insist that it was too dangerous, but he knew better. Ilara had more than proven her courage and capability. Instead, he simply said, "I'm glad you'll be there." The night before the Defiant's departure, Earth held its breath. This mission could determine the fate of not just their planet, but the entire galaxy. As the crew made their final preparations, a ceremony was held to commemorate the occasion. Ilara, Jack, and Zin stood on a stage before a global audience, symbols of the unprecedented alliance that had saved Earth and now promised to defend the galaxy. As they looked out over the sea of faces, human and alien alike, each of them felt the weight of the task ahead. "We go forth not just as representatives of Earth," Ilara said, her voice carrying across the hushed crowd, "but as members of a galactic community. The challenges ahead are great, but together we are greater." Jack stepped forward. "We face the darkness and emerge stronger. Whatever lies beyond our solar system, we face it not just as humans, but as defenders of all sentient life." Zin's skin glowed with a warm, pulsing light. "Once, we came to Earth seeking sanctuary. Now, we stand together as equals, ready to offer that same protection to all who need it." As the Defiant prepared to depart, Ilara took one last look at the Earth from the observation deck. The blue marble that had once seemed so isolated in the cosmic ocean now sat at the center of a bustling galactic community. Ships of various alien designs moved in complex patterns around the planet, a visible reminder of how much had changed. Having second thoughts, Jack's voice came from behind her. Ilara shook her head, turning to face him. "No, just appreciating how far we've come, and thinking about how far we have yet to go." Jack nodded, understanding in his eyes. "Whatever's out there, we'll face it together." As if on cue, Zin glided into the room, its skin shimmering with anticipation. "My friends, it is time. The galaxy awaits." With a final look at their home planet, the trio made their way to the bridge. The Defiant hummed with power, its hybrid systems a testament to what could be achieved when different species worked together. As the ship broke free from Earth's orbit, Ilara felt a mixture of excitement and trepidation. They were venturing into the unknown, carrying the hopes of not just Earth, but countless worlds. The stars stretched before them, full of both promise and peril. The Void Swarm was still out there, evolving, adapting. Other threats, yet unknown, might lurk in the cosmic depths. But Ilara knew that whatever challenges they faced, they would face them united. Humanity had taken its first steps into a larger universe. They had faced their greatest fear and emerged stronger, not just as a species, but as part of a galactic community. The road ahead would be difficult, filled with dangers they could scarcely imagine. But they would meet those challenges with the same spirit of innovation, adaptability, and sheer determination that had seen them through their darkest hour. As the Defiant engaged its faster-than-light drive, preparing to make the jump to another star system, Ilara, Jack, and Zin shared a look of mutual understanding. Whatever the future held, they would face it together. For Earth, for the galaxy, and for the promise of a future where all sentient beings could live in peace. The stars beckoned, and humanity answered the call. Their greatest adventure was just